But now Buddha says there is no I at all. If there is no Atma, there is no Anattavada, who is that is reborn? Buddha comes out with extraordinary theory, developed later on by philosophers like Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna, by the way, was one of the most outstanding philosophers in India. He is rated even higher than Shankara. Shankara took most of the views from Nagarjuna and using all his dialectics and polemics and removing the Shunya and replacing it by Purna or Atma, Brahman, that's all. The theory is, let us go a little deeper into ourselves. Don't fall asleep. This is very interesting. Now look at ourselves. What is happening here inside? The stream of thoughts, everybody will agree, continues the stream of thoughts which continues moving. The Buddhism is called Vijnana Santana. Vijnana is consciousness. Santana is a stream. Continues the stream of thought which is going on. Thought is constantly moving. From one thought to another thought, to another thought, to another thought. How many thoughts do we think in a day? Infinite. We don't know how many. Now, thought, feeling insecure, projects a thinker from out of it. This is the psychology. Thought feels insecure. Why? Because it passes away. One thought goes away, another thought comes in. Thought feels, I am dying every moment, so let me live by projecting a thinker and depositing all the vitality of the thought into that thinker and holding on to the thinker saying, I am real. Thought is moving, but thinker is real. So where did the thinker come from? Thinker came from thought itself. So the series of thought processes which is going on, so like a procession, every thought projects a thinker, and when the thought dies, thinker also dies with the thought. So every moment there's a thought and thinker, thought and thinker, thought and thinker. It's a wave which goes on and on and on. Now, when you transmigrate from one body to another body physically, what happens according to this principle is that the last thought which you have and the thinker along with that thought contains the entire repository of all the previous thoughts, they having exhausted themselves completely into the next thought, succession of thoughts. A thought comes up. When it dies, like handing over a baton in a relay race, it completely exhausts its efficiency and character into the next thought and dies. That carries on and on and on. And finally, the last thought with which the body goes away contains all the information which is in the previous thoughts and then takes on. Not that a permanent, pre-existing entity called the Atman takes all this and goes away. Every moment this I or a thinker, the Atman is created and it dies. By Atma, Shankara meant the ego, or the Buddha meant the ego. So this ego which is non-existent, appearing to exist, is created and thrown up every moment by every thought. Thought being insecure, projecting a thinker, trying to cling on to it, and then moves on and on and on. And this transmigrates and goes to that. This theory is called Pratityasamutpada. Utpada means origination. Samutpada, well origination. Pratitya, depending on just the previous moment. In mathematics, we call it Markovian chain. That's why Buddhism is considered very scientific. The Markovian chain, the principle is there's a chain succession of events which take place. Every moment depends not on the prehistory of all the previous moments, but on exactly the previous moment only. Can you appreciate this? There's a series of succession of moments going on, and at any point of time, if you look at this moment does not depend upon all that has gone before it as a prehistory, but exactly depends only upon just the previous moment. The previous moment containing all the history of all the moments. That means a kind of a chain which goes on like that. And finally, this entire momentum is carried on and a new body is given. So Buddha therefore began with a chain of causation. The first beginning of this chain, in the diagram you can see, called avidya. Starting from avidya, through trishna and upadana, which is clinging, finally ends with jati, being born, reborn or born. And when you are born, what happens? What is happening to all of us? Unfortunately, we have been born. What's happening to us? You age, become old, you're afflicted with disease, and you die. So jati, then there is janma, then marana, and janma and marana. Jara, marana. So Buddha says, he traces the whole thing to this. So if you can have the samyak darshana, the right vision or the right view, by which you realize the importance and the functioning of this Pratityasamutpada and the anatta. So the correct understanding of Pratityasamutpada and anatta is the right view according to Buddha. If you can really intuit from within you, and then everything within is constantly changing, every moment is exhausting itself in the next moment, all that exists now is this moment. So this is psychologically called by some of the modern thinkers like J. Krishnamurti and others as living from moment to moment to moment to moment. This has been called nowadays mindfulness. Every moment you are the power of now. So many books have come out. The whole of them have their source in the Buddhistic idea of Pratityasamutpada. This moment is all that exists. We talk about the past and the future. Why is it we suffer? Because the mind wants to cling on and creates a memory bank. This memory is what gives you pain. Good, bad, indifferent. So memory is the past, and imagination or a dream is the future. Trust no future, however pleasant. Let the dead past bury its dead. Act in the living present, heart within and God over it. Longfellow. The past has to be brought into the present to be able to enjoy or to suffer. Think of that. You store something in the past. When people keep on clicking and then videographing, I said, memory. I came to this lecture, you see. You don't have to prove that you came for the lecture. You came, that's it. Somebody said, what is the proof that you went there? The proof is I'm here. What is the proof that the building exists? That is there. I don't know. Can anybody prove why? How, can you say how the proof that you exist here? The proof that you exist is that you exist. So we want to put it in memory, and then to be able to enjoy that memory, you have to push it from the past to the present to be able to enjoy. Imagine something in the future that has to be brought to the present. That means that the past, present, and future, the present is the only reality. So Pratityasamutpada says, recognize this, realize this. In the depths of your being, feel this is the moment which is real. And this moment passes on to the next moment, that becomes real. The passes to the next moment, that becomes real. Till you live from moment to moment to moment. And when you live from moment to moment to moment, without the burden of memory, you get released from sorrow. Very interesting technique. And it's possible to practice it. There's the beauty about it. Zen Buddhists do this. Vedantically put, any process of acquisition of knowledge consists of three factors. You are sitting there, I am seeing you. You are called the object of my seeing, called the drishya. And the person who is seeing it, the seer, is called the drashta. And there's a process of seeing. I know you. You are the object of knowledge. I as the knower, subject of knowledge, and as the process of knowing, which makes me know you. It's called Jnata, the me, knower, Jnaya, the object of knowledge, and Jnana, which is the process of knowing. It's called Triputi in Vedanta. Now, the beauty of Buddha, normally we focus either upon the knower or the known. What do we do in Advaita Vedanta? You focus on the knower. Who is the I? Who is the Atman? Try to discover the Atman. And then you keep on Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. You hear, listen, contemplate, deeply go into yourself, concentrate and know who is the knower. So it's inward looking. Science and even bhakti, for example, projects a God outside and then focus all your energies upon this God. He is Ramakrishna, he is God himself. You offer yourself, you prostrate before him, you focus on the outward focus. Unfortunately, Buddha eliminated God, no outward focus, eliminated the Atman, no inward focus. So look at the boldness of the man. Swami Vivekananda said he is the boldest man ever born. It requires tremendous boldness not to cling and not to be dependent upon anything. Buddha said, don't depend on anything. Then what are you left with? The Jnaya, which is the outside God, eliminate. The Jnata, which is the Atman within you, eliminate. What remains is Jnana. So Buddha said, allow this Jnana not to be focused upon the Jnata inside or the Jnaya outside. Then this awareness or Jnana remains as an unfocused entity, vast unfocused entity in which Jnata and Jnaya completely get submerged. And you remain without movement in awareness. This is what Krishnamurti called the choiceless awareness. The awareness remains unfocused and choiceless, remains as a vast ocean of infinite wisdom, and you just sink into it, sorrow ceases. This is the technique is called Zen. Jnana becomes Jnana, Jnana becomes Jnana, Jnana becomes Zen. This is a Zen Buddhistic technique in which they say, remain with awareness. Don't focus awareness on anything outside or inside. Just remain just with pure awareness. So Buddha's focus ultimately was upon how you, in a sense, transform your consciousness. Which means, don't try to solve the problem of sorrow by manipulating the outside or the inside, but just remain with sorrow. Sorrow is impinging upon me. I feel like crying. I feel miserable. Be with that misery. Just like look at a tender child or a beautiful flower. Oh, sorrow, come, stay with me. Ah, how wonderful you are. It's not easy, but it can be done. So Buddha said, stand up on your own feet and face it. No power on earth can solve your problem unless you can face those problems. That is the boldness of the man. So he said, live with sorrow and see how sorrow is rising within you, the mechanics of sorrow, how it's coming and flowering and dissipating in nothingness because you have not handled it. We handle sorrow. So the transformation of awareness within you by which you don't handle anything, just be aware of it, that very non-handling awareness of the thing completely dissipates this sorrow. So the Buddha says, transform the awareness within you, by which the problem ceases to be a problem at all. There's no problem at all. So we have to go to a different state of awareness. So can you overcome this problem by dissolving the problem into your own awareness, by transforming it in such a way the problem ceases to be a problem. So Buddha's psychological approach is that the problem exists because you see it as a problem. The sorrow exists because you cling to certain things and then want not to move from one position to another position. Keep moving from moment to moment to moment without accumulation, without desire. Once you accumulate something, then you are in trouble. So if you don't accumulate at all, at every time you are absolutely free. So Samyak Darshana and Samyak Ajiva and Samyak Samadhi, concentration, we just are empty all the time. Once J. Krishnamurti was asked, "Sir, what are you talking about? We don't understand anything. Can you tell us in a sentence?" He became excited, roused. Empty the mind to receive the immeasurable. You empty yourself, and every moment you are operating from a vacuum. Why are we not operating from a vacuum? Because we cling to the ego, and ego contains all the viruses in the world. So when the ego is dissipated through Samyak Darshana, Samyak Ajiva, and Samyak Samadhi, the Aham, the Anatta is realized. Then you see you are constantly operating from a vacuum. In that case, you can hold the sorrow of the entire universe in your bosom. Think of that. It becomes Sarva Bhuta Hite Rata. That's why Buddha spoke so much of Maitri and Karuna. Have infinite compassion for everybody. Have so much of friendship and kindliness and kinship. Why? Because your heart is empty. You have an infinite capacity by which you can take the entire sorrow of the whole world. And people will come to you and pour their sorrow, like the garbage, you pour the garbage, and it goes to the infinite. Like a thermodynamic sink of infinite capacity. You can hold the whole, that's what Buddha did. Buddha was holding in his bosom the entire sorrow of humanity, by which people could pour into him. And he said, "Don't depend upon me. I am only Siddhartha who became the Buddha. Atma Deepo Bhava, be lamps unto yourselves." It is possible, and if you take it very seriously, we can actually succeed, even infinitesimally though, in eliminating sorrow. And may Buddha give us the wisdom. At the end of it, we bow down to Buddha. He is very angry. "Don't bow down to me." "Oh, I know I will not bow down to you." Then I bow down to you. Because he takes away your sorrow completely. 2,500 years later, we're discussing Buddha and the great message he gave. And may Buddha give us the courage, the boldness, and the wisdom to be able to follow the path which he showed. Thank you.